Democrat from Washington State. She's chair of the new Democratic coalition and is one of the House members who met with President Biden last week. Congresswoman, let me start with what we heard from Debbie Dingell this morning. How many members of Congress have that same feeling but haven't expressed it so starkly as her, which is, Mr. President, tell us what you want. We've got your back. We just got to know what it is that we've got.
Well, I think actually there's an important role that all members of Congress can play, which is also to say what they want. The president in our meeting last week was very clear. He said, tell me what you want, tell me what your priorities are. I think as the new Democrat coalition, we've been clear on our priorities of expanding the child tax credit, making sure we keep those ACA premiums, address Medicaid coverage gap, and have strong legislation on climate. I think it's important for everyone in the House and the Senate to be clear what their top priorities are, because the talk has been about a number, but really underneath that number are policies that impact the American people. We want to make sure there's strong policies to help our communities. To do that, we have to talk about what those policies are. People might spend a little more if they think we're doing a great job on a policy side, or a little less. But the policy has to drive it, and I feel like there hasn't been enough discussion on all sides, and definitely from members of Congress, about what their policy priorities are to bring us together and get a bill passed.
Well, I think, Congresswoman, you're right. That is part of the problem, because I think people generally agree with the goals, but it is the specifics. And I guess when you hear the words priorities, it also means what has to be in it and what doesn't. You know, are you for seeing a package that includes everything they're trying to do, but maybe trims the sales by having means testing, for instance? Is that a better avenue than maybe cutting out a priority or two? What is your preference we know the size of this bill's going down. How to trim it? What is your preference?
I've always been clear. I think we need to pick a few things and make sure we do them very well. Those are the things that have impact our communities. If we do things for a year and have a cliff and then Congress has to come back and renew it, that creates a lot of uncertainty for families, because they wonder what's going to happen a year or 2 years from now. So I actually think we have to pick important programs that help families, like the child tax credit is helping families already today, and provide that long-term certainty, that durability. Yes, that means making choices, and that's why people have to be very clear what's important. But that's also what's going to resonate with folks at home. You know, if you say you're doing everything and you give everything $10, you haven't really had an impact. Right. If you tell them what we're doing, how it's going to help them, that's what folks are going to remember. And then we will keep moving forward to continue to address ongoing issues. But we have to be clear. And I think members of Congress need to be clear what their priorities are in the House and in the Senate.
So tomorrow's vote, there seems to be more people actively trying to get votes against the bipartisan deal than for it. At this point, do you expect an actual vote on this bill tomorrow?
Well, I think the magic number is 218. So we need to make sure that when we have a vote, we have 218 votes. And I know that's something that the Speaker and others in House leadership are looking at, because it's important. We have all pretty much said they want to do both bills. They want to pass an infrastructure bill. They want to pass a strong Build Back Better reconciliation bill. We need to do both. But the only way we make an impact is when we get a bill through the House and we get a bill through the Senate, we get it on the president's desk. And we need to get those bills on the president's desk as soon as possible. So the focus needs to be on how we get folks together to have those votes on those bills to move them forward.
Do you think this has been overlinked? I mean, you know, this bipartisan deal, the bill's written, the bill's done. Shouldn't that have been signed already? Has there been this decision to link it? Has that actually caused more problems than it's solving?
Well, I think that it has created some division in terms of folks saying which one you have to do first and what happens in what order. I think we need to do both. I think there's strong policy. We need to do both because it has an incredible impact in our communities. And if there's one thing in my purple district that I hear from folks is they want to see governance work. Governance works mean coming together, getting bills through, getting them to the desk and seeing them signed into law. Talking about what we might do doesn't help. What really helps folks is what we've done, and that's why getting the infrastructure bill done and getting reconciliation done are so important.
Well, that brings me actually to debt ceiling and the government shutdown. Look, Republicans are just trying to gum up the works, right? We know that. They don't have the majority, so they're trying to make this as painful as possible for the majority. Do you think, to your constituents, do you think it's a waste of time to try to, do these to show, hey, look at how intransigent the Republicans are? Or do those voters sit there and say, just do what you have to do to keep government going? We know they're intransigent. You know what I mean? Like, how much do you have to show and tell this? Because it makes it look like Congress is even more dysfunctional.
Well, I think we understand the responsibility we have to govern. And Republicans are playing politics with the credit of the United States. We've already seen an impact that uncertainty has caused. They are putting politics first, and we absolutely put the country first. That means we have to make sure that we address the debt ceiling. Republicans have even said that they're okay with raising the debt ceiling. They just don't want to vote for it. So it is about gamesmanship. But the consequences of their gamesmanship in terms of putting the country at risk, that's incredibly unacceptable, and the American people should see that as unacceptable too. That cynicism has an impact on families and on businesses across the country, and so we're gonna do the right thing and continue to move forward. But it's terrible that we don't have folks on the other side of the aisle who understand that their first obligation is to put the best interests of the country first.
And that cynicism is what drives people away from even participating in the process. Congresswoman Susan DelBene, and I apologize for mispronouncing your name on the introduction.
That's okay.
I've done that a few times. I hate it when it happens to me, so my apologies to you. Thank you for coming on and sharing your perspective.
Thank you.